Good evening, everyone. I would like to take permission from our principal, sir, Dr. C.M. Rao, sir, to start the day 2 session.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I, Bhavika Chandalia, student of BLLB 4th year from Manikchand Pahade Law College, Aurangabad. It gives me immense pleasure to extend to you a very warm welcome on behalf of the It gives me immense pleasure to extend to you a very warm welcome on behalf of the Manikchand Pahade Law College, who has clubbed all of us for an online national fitness awareness program through 75th Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Today's session is about yoga and naturopathy. I would like to request Dr. Sachin Deshmukh sir to welcome all the speakers and participants for today's session. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, all. We are from Marathwada Legal and General Education Society, Manikchand Pahade Law College, Aurangabad, Maharashtra. I welcome you all participants and today's key speaker, resource person, Dr. Vikram Singh sir, New Delhi from JNU, and today's session chairperson, Dr. Archana Giri from MSM College. Also welcome to our Vice Principal, Dr. Srikishan More sir, Principal, Dr. C.M. Rao sir, and all my dear students, friends, and all. This is the day 2. We have 7 days program. This is a 75 Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav online national fitness awareness program organizing by Department of Physical Education, Manikchand Pahade Law College. I welcome you all. Over to Bhavika.
Thank you, sir. Now, I request Dr. Srikishan More sir, Vice Principal from Manikchand Pahade Law College, to give introductory speech. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Bhavika Chandalia. Respected principal, our team leader, and inspiration of all the students and faculty of our college. Respected chairperson of this session, Dr. Archana Giri madam, the speaker of this session, Dr. Vikram Singh sir, and all my faculty members, friends, brothers and sisters. Already Dr. Sachin sir have welcomed you all. I also wish to welcome you all in this very special session of the 75th Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav in respect of fitness awareness program organized by our college. Dear guests and participants, this is the oldest college of Marathwada, and probably you are aware of the conditions of Marathwada region that today also it is to be called as the backward area of not only Maharashtra but like 1950s. In the year 1956, lawyers of this area had established a Marathwada Legal Education Society. Further, the name was expanded of our society as the Marathwada Legal and General Education Society. And we have established this college in the year 1950. Being we are the law college, we are running the different activities considering the importance of those in building the personality of lawyers amongst our students. To be called food court activity. We have law lecture series, PowerPoint presentation, debate competition. We organize the study tours and visits. We are organizing commemorative lecture series. NSS is also one of the very good department of our college. We have a research club, anti-recognition. We organize Samvidhan Sandesh rally. We also promote for gender equity programs and many programs actually. And we have very good court department at our college. So that is one of the very good feature of our college, that we have leader to that department, Dr. Sachin sir, who is the organizer of this program. And I'll take this opportunity to congratulate you, Dr. Sachin Deshmukh sir, for organizing this program. So far as the theme of the today's session is yoga and naturopathy. I believe that both may be natural remedies, as we require, particularly lawyers, require the sound mind, sound body. That is the requirement of every human being, but it is having more importance to the student who are getting this legal education. So we have availed this opportunity to invite today's expert guest to talk on the theme, and I will request the speaker, please guide our student, and if it is possible, please resolve some doubts in the minds of the student if students are asking the question on the theme. Thank you very much, Avika.
Thank you, sir. Today's speaker, Dr. Vikram Singh, sir, is known for his contribution in the fitness field. He is a PhD holder in physical education from the CI Faculty of Education, University of Delhi. He has bagged a gold medal in MPhil Physical Education at Kurukshetra University. And not just that, but he was also a recipient of the Young Scientist Award by the Sports Psychology Association of India in 2004. He has presented over 90 research papers at many international and national level conferences. He has written about 16 books so far. Currently, he is working as a senior physical educator at Jawaharlal Nehru College, New Delhi. He is known for his positive and motivational attitude and has a sense of adventure that knows few bounds. I request Dr. Vikram Singh, sir, to start today's session.
Talking just now. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I express my gratitude and thankfulness to the college, especially Dr. Sachin Deshmukh, who has always been acting like a beacon light as far as the organization and administration of technical sessions is concerned. I express my gratitude and thankfulness to the authorities, principal, vice principal, the entire technical team, the faculty members, students, research scholars, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly allow me to share my PowerPoint slides. Just give me a second.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the topic which has been given to me is yoga and naturopathy, right? So far, so good. Many of you have been attending a lot of sessions where you must have heard about the yogic practices. You may have practically practiced those yogic practices as well, and maybe teaching. Some of you have taken this as a profession as well. Some of you are amateur, some are professionals, some are about to become professionals. They want to pursue their hobby in, increasing knowledge about various herbs which are readily available for curing our own small little problems like flus, influenzas, and if you become master in therapeutic practices, proper diagnosis, and then treating, besides that healing. Some of the medical doctors also use it in addition to their traditional treatment. the treatment of allopathy, the treatment of surgery through surgeries. But one thing is very clear, that other than the non-conventional therapies, other than the conventional therapies like allopathy, which is widely practiced, we have some non-conventional therapies and alternative medicines, right? Complementary and alternative medicines. When we talk about yoga, it is actually understood in two ways. Number one is creating awareness, that is more of preventive part about yoga practices, about changing our lifestyle in order to get rid of lifestyle disorders like diabetes, heart related issues, joint related problems. We call it yoga education, right? So creating awareness, preventing the treatment. So we call it primary health care, right? Then comes the secondary health care, wherein we recommend, we suggest, advise some strict changes in diet and nutrition, and we practice Ayurvedic medicines, right? We practice some Chinese traditional medicines like acupressure, acupuncture, homeopathy, and naturopathy. So these primarily five medicines, the disciplines called Ayurveda, Chinese traditional medicines, homeopathy, naturopathy, which come under Ayush ministry, are very important medical systems which are being recognized as the proper medical systems now, at least in US. And there are obvious reasons to give respect to these so-called complementary and alternative medicines. There is entire National Institute of Health, which was established in 1998. And I would like to proudly mention that most of these naturopathy practices, which are opened in the Scandinavian countries, in America, in Europe, have received recognition from the Indian agencies. So we are the ones who encourage, not only in India, but also the institutes, the therapeutic centers, the non-government organizations. Even if any country wishes to award research projects which are interdisciplinary in nature, our various organizations which are associated with naturopathy, homeopathy, and Ayurveda give recognition, even give training to the people in countries other than India. Even Unani is one very important part, wherein research and development process is going on at a very great speed. Of course, quality is sometimes compromised when we do research, but then no research papers are bad. It is important that the research must go on, just like in coronavirus, right? Research is being done by the scientists under maximum controlled conditions, and then it is applied amongst the public. And then WHO like agencies conclude by collecting some data that this was the variant, these are the characteristics of this variant, these are the medications that need to be dropped, these are the FMCG products which will be helpful, these are the naturopathic or yogic or other various nutrients that Ayush ministry constantly recommend. They don't claim, they recommend that if at all you want to get less and less affected because of the various viruses and their variants like Omicron, Delta variant, then you do these things. Just to remind you, if you can recall, whenever there was a decrease in oxygen saturation level below 90%, there was a great advisory by Ayush Ministry that you should lie down prone. Now, this very simple exercise of prone lying, which is called Makarasana Yoga, used to instantly increase your oxygen saturation level, and you are automatically cured of several related issues or the side effects of the allopathic medicines which you are taking. Often call them antibiotics. Now, this particular systems, as I said earlier, Unani, Ayurveda, Chinese traditional medicines, homeopathy, naturopathy, yoga, yoga in the sense yoga therapy, if I call it correctly, to be precise, are being recognized as the whole medical systems. If you look at the history, Patanjali has actually done the very required task of compiling these different medications in Yoga Sutras. After seeing the health related benefits of yoga, that has been an integral part of actually Ayurveda, the oldest and the indigenous medical system which was practiced in India, which was described in the Charak Samhita and Sushrut Samhita. And was widely practiced by Hindus and Buddhists for thousands of years for maintaining good health, for improving upon higher order thinking skills. They used these traditional medicines, systems of medicines, to stay without clothes in the most low temperature areas, for salvation, to achieve bliss, to show to the world that there is some innate power that can be awakened from our inside only, if at all you want to remain just not disease free, but you can lift yourself to that higher pursuits of excellence in whatever you do. That was the time when survival of the fittest was the main motive. Now that we have access to such good biomedical science, biomedical care, we have high-end technology and instruments to measure well ahead of time if at all we suffer from any incurable diseases like autoimmune disorders, certain cancers, and various other diseases related to neurological aspects like multiple sclerosis and various other non-reversible diseases. People used to start thinking that it is the biomedical science actually which is the best medical science if at all we want to cure. No doubt the biomedical science, the allopathic science has reached great heights. But please remember, the depth of Ayurveda and naturopathy is as deep, as ancient, and as proven as the heights reached by the allopathy and biomedical science, the tools and instruments today. So one thing is very clear, that when we talk about yoga and naturopathy, we cannot just talk about yoga and naturopathy without referring to the scientific aspects of yoga and naturopathy. So that's what is the main objective, that how and where to identify the gaps, how and where to reason out that these two medical sciences, the medical sciences of allopathy, surgery, and the other medical systems like Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, homeopathy, and naturopathy cannot work in silos. They need to come together. And the Western scientists must realize the importance of mind and matter relationship. They must put in their brains to understand the quest, to understand the subtler dimensions of the universal laws and gain new insights in the mind matter relationship. So that whatever wisdom and practices of the East are being developed and nurtured over the period of last many thousand years are actually combined with the present biomedical science, and both these disciplines work together for the human welfare, to uplift and to realize the true, in the true sense, Vasudevaya Kutumbakam. Both these medicines should not discard each other. Both the experts of naturopathy, Ayurveda, as well as the experts from medicine should not discard each other, but they should work together. For example, in the recent past, during the widespread of pandemic COVID-19, there were certain small capsules of breathing exercises. We call them pranayama. The West calls them breathing exercise. Although technically speaking, they are not breathing exercises. And it is not even control of breath. It is actually breath regulation. But there is very deep sense associated with breath regulation. For example, there were few 10-minute exercises which were given to the medical doctors and the patients. And very positive results were observed. The doctors had to work for 10 to 12 hours every day to take care of the increasing load of patients coming to the hospitals. And we can all see from the data that many doctors and paramedical staff, the frontline workers, lost their lives while taking care of the corona patients. I'm talking about the first phase of the spread of this pandemic. After that, if you can recall, there were certain medications which were recommended for the treatment, and later on these medications were slowly and gradually dropped from the list. Some kind of medications, allopathy medications, had negative and side effects on the patients. Slowly and gradually, WHO also recommended that while treating for the coronavirus, actually, we might create some other coronavirus which is more resistant to these antibiotics. For example, remdesivir injection. You can see whosoever received the remdesivir injection, in most of the cases in Delhi, I can recall, people died. To begin with, they recovered fully. All their medical parameters were perfectly all right. They were shifted to the general ward, and all of a sudden, during the night, there was multiple organ failure. And this occurred only also in the people who were not suffering from any comorbidity. So there must have been some or the other issue which medical science was not able to address. That is why yoga and naturopathy, because it is a holistic science. Now the second category of mind-body meditation again gains importance and was labeled at par with the whole medical systems, which is called yoga, meditation, visualization and imagery, cognitive behavior therapies, cognitive therapies, even aroma therapies, Even for recovery purpose, there was healing touches, Reiki, dance, hypnosis, even music, art, prayer, sleep promotion, and support groups, therapies, group therapies. Just as we see in India, there are yoga tourism. There is yoga tourism. There are small camps where we combine various group activities to make people enjoy, do yoga, do medication, past life regression, yoga nidra, and various other procedures of mind body medicine gain importance. And then comes the third category, which is being recognized greatly, which is called biologically based practices like dietary changes, nutritional supplements complementing the herbal products, and some people even used the extracts from fishes. Some special fishes were raised, their extracts were used to treat various neurological disorders. For example, shark cartilage to improve upon the brain function. So various other crazy looking therapies and procedures were adopted successfully, not successfully, but they were effective in most of the treatments as per the research available. Various other acupressure, acupuncture, chiropractic, massage, orthopedic manipulation techniques were also observed. And then comes the another category, which is called the energy medicines. What is energy medicine? Basically, energy medicine is closely related to yogic postures and meditation specifically, wherein if you talk about the Chinese therapy, we call it Qigong, Reiki, electromagnetic fields. There were certain alternating current or direct current fields which were being used in the healthcare system. Now, those of you who have been in touch with the medical professionals, those who have been doing some medical courses like physiotherapy or pharmacology or MBBS for that matter, must be knowing that these type of disciplines, these type of practices are still not major parts at the MBBS level, at least, of syllabus. Why? The reason is obvious. Because whatever Western medication, Western medicine, Western procedures are being developed, they are actually still feeding and catering to our thinking and psyche. We don't accept yoga, naturopathy, etc. at one point of time or the other. We don't accept these therapies or these procedures per se. But when it comes to body and mind, and when it specifically comes to brain, now corona is gone, right? So are the antibiotics. So what remains is, again, the practice of healthy living. That means whatever medications, whatever little things are available in our kitchen, whatever prebiotics which are naturally occurring, whatever organic foods are there, we must again switch on to that. So before getting sick, if we adopt a healthy lifestyle, we never get obese. Because once you are obese, which is a disease, you get operated. You get yourself operated upon using bariatric surgery. For example, after the surgery also the doctor says now you need to take precautions because you have undergone surgery. So why not take precautions even beforehand? Why after surgery? So it is the primary and secondary healthcare system that must be given a boost. in the form of healthy lifestyle. And when you realize the importance of practicing yoga and naturopathy at home, when you know what is the correct combination of food which you should be eating, when you know where to find the pre and probiotics in your diet and nutrition, when you know that you have to live with the environment and stop using polyphenols, stop using the chemicals and fertilizers and insecticides and pesticides, you are actually practicing naturopathy on your own. And we have been doing this since times immemorial. It's just that over the period of last 3 to 4 decades, when medical science has research has actually forced us to go into operation. Before that, we don't even care. Every medication impacts our brain. Viruses are gone, but we had developed certain apprehensions and fear because we were locked down.
Sir, sir, are you there? Uh, I guess there is some network issue. We'll wait. Sir will join as soon as possible. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're visible, sir. Your voice is not audible, sir. No, you're not audible yet. No, sir. You're not audible. Can you please rejoin?
मेरे पास लेट जाके चिपक जा जल्दी आ जा बंदर ना
Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
It is okay.
Sorry for inconvenience. Let me share my PPTs once again. I don't know what happened. Okay. So I'll be primarily talking now about various yogic postures. Of course, this is going to be a little bit different than what we have been doing so far, and it can act as a insightful session for you so that you can understand what you have been doing or practicing in yogic postures and how and where should you be focusing while doing a particular yogic posture in case if you want to get the full benefit of some yogic posture. You're free to ask questions. There is no problem at all from my side. In case you want to interrupt in between also, I'm okay with that. Second, I'll be talking about specific pre and probiotics in naturopathy. Am I audible? Is it fine?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. Okay. And then I'll be talking about brain functions and how does stress impacts us and what are the various types of physical and mental toxins that accumulate inside our body and how to get rid of them. And the importance of various yogic preventive techniques. Right. Now let us understand to begin with the toxins inside our body. So it is not just the toxins in the physical form, right, that impact us. And please remember the most important precursor, or I would say the stressor for our physical intoxication of our physical body, right, that disturbs the balance, that disturbs the harmony and integration of our physical process is the gut brain axis, right? Whatever thoughts, whatever feelings, whatever emotions we experience all through the day produce some kind of toxins or the other in terms of psychological form. And it is extremely important nowadays, especially to keep our immunity. I'm talking about mental immunity, not just physical immunity, but mental immunity also raised always. We call it that keep your shield up, always keep your defense up, just like in martial arts, right? Don't let your guard come down. So we need to strengthen our immunity, the guard system, right from top to bottom. All types of WBCs must be activated to the highest, purest form at all times. Then only we can get the true harmony and maintain it. Just as in yoga, right? What happens is it is the combination of mind and body through breath regulation. Sthir Sukham Asanam. What is the meaning of Sthiram? Sthiram means homeostasis, balance. And what does Sukham means? Deriving the pleasure. I'll explain more about how we derive pleasure through our senses. And asanam is what? Physical posture. So asana is basically a physical posture that produces the homeostasis in the system. So this homeostasis, that is the balance between antioxidants and free radicals. Please remember, we need free radicals also. They are essential part. They keep on producing inside our body because of the use of technology, because of screen time, because of our thinking, because of overthinking. Free radicals keep on producing because of the pollution outside us, because of our diet, nutrition. Even when we drink tea and coffee too much, free radicals keep on producing. They are a challenge to our body, but these free radicals need to remain in the certain desired proportion inside our body. If we are free of free radicals, then also there is a danger to our immunity. So we become sick when the balance between antioxidants and free radicals is disturbed. Please remember. What are antioxidants? Antioxidants actually act inside our body through nutrition primarily, through positive thoughts. If I talk about psychological well-being, they neutralize the free radicals. So whenever there is a good balance of free radicals and antioxidants, our oxidative stress will not increase. Whenever free radicals are less in number, in proportion, there will be more oxidative stress. From the medicine point of view, we call it allostatic load. Also, some people in the disease state, especially from virus point of view, we call it that the viral load is more. Whenever there is a more and heavier load of immunity, that means our immune system is stronger than the viral load, the virus will come, but it will not affect our body, and it will slowly and gradually fade away because we have better system to cope with the virus inside our body. And this particular load of immunity, that means better immunity, can be either achieved through medications or it can be achieved through prevention, through pranayama, through yoga, through postures. Now, what does this does? What does homeostasis actually does when we practice yoga and naturopathy? They are all complementary and supplementary systems, right? Not work in silos once again. It restores the endocrine balance. It balances the inhibitor and stimulator circuits and secretions of our body. It creates a sympathetic and parasympathetic balance. Ida Pingla, Sushumna. We call it Sushumna Nadi is active. That means all the 7 chakras are in balance with each other. When they are in balance with each other, we take right decisions. We stay calm. It creates the agonist and antagonist balance. I'm talking about the balance of the muscles, and also balances in turn the entire system. So what happens when we practice physical postures? What happens when we practice the physical postures? Actually, our muscles contain stretch receptors. All right. Whenever there are certain stretching movements of asanas we practice, these practices actually what they do is they activate the impulses, and these impulses go to our brain, right? And this happens via a particular mechanism which is called kinesthetic proprioception. Kinesthetic means whenever we do a particular posture or move our body, there is a message, there is a feeling of the movement, right, in our limbs and body. Now, what is proprioceptor? These are the special nerve endings in the muscles and tendons, right? They immediately respond to any kind of stimuli regarding the position of our movement of the body. So whenever we do postures like balancing postures, forward bending postures, Surya Namaskar, there is this impulses, right? They travel towards our lower brain centers and ultimately to the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, what it does is it stimulates the pituitary gland. It causes the release of certain feel-good hormones like endorphins, serotonins, oxytocins. Number 2, when we do these asanas with proper pranayama, proper breathing, what happens is these deep breathing exercises actually causes our hypothalamus to produce balance functioning of the hypothalamus, endocrinal, metabolic, sympathetic and parasympathetic activities of the brain. Number 2, the research has also shown That pranayam works on the stress responsiveness of the limbic hypothalamic system. Now, please remember, if you are already having a good mind-body relationship and the person who is not having a good mind-body relationship, the stress is equal. Remember, just a hypothetical situation that the stress is going to come, right? For example, you and your friend, you have an interview tomorrow or an exam tomorrow. Your friend, what he is going to do, he is going to prepare a black coffee so that he doesn't sleep all through the night. And then next day, he or she is going to appear for the examination. Whereas you must have a 4 to 5 hours of sleep before going for an examination. Which one is better? Of course, you are better. Why? Because stress is same. The quantity of stress is same. The activation of hypothalamus is same. But whatever hormones are produced because of the stimulation of your hypothalamus system, stimulation of your sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system has actually balanced it. So you have had a very good sleep and you are going to wake up very fresh the next day and there is a very high likelihood that you are going to do much better than your friend who have had butterflies or a blurred vision or some kind of sweating or some kind of other issues, elevated heart rate or other kind of breathing related problems or negativity of the thoughts. So it is your response to the stress actually that matters. This is what yoga does, it lets you take the right decision when there is stress. Of course, the stressors are going to cause the adrenaline level goes up. Now, where does this adrenaline comes from? You all remember that these are small glands just above our kidney. So through this HPA axis, in the next slide, I'll show you in more detail. Your adrenaline level goes up. Whenever there is stress, adrenaline level goes up, which is again a hormone. It elevates your heart rate. Of course, heart rate is positively correlated with breathing rate. So you tend to breathe faster, harder in order to cope up with the stressor that has entered your body, or you have perceived it that way. There might be physical symptoms like muscle tension, sweating, dry mouth, blurred vision, going to washroom again and again, feeling out of control, butterflies in the stomach. Now, these are all the manifestations of stress, which is actually stimulated by the secretion of certain hormones inside the body. Now, when you are aware that, yes, I am tense, then you are caught up in a negative loop in the sense that you know that something is happening, but you don't know how to cope up with that. So you get into that vicious cycle of stress, tension, anxiety, arousal. And this is what is called a negative loop, negative thought pattern. So you auto-suggest yourself, I am in danger. I may not be able to do well in the exam. The questions might be difficult. So these are all the negative thoughts which start coming in and out of your mind. Is it not so? So this is very dangerous now. And what happens ultimately? If the exam gets postponed, suddenly the news comes, okay, tomorrow there will be no exam. Now you are even more restless, more irritable. Your lack of concentration, lack of sleep, difficulty remembering things, racing thoughts, overthinking. Your motivational level will come down. Arey, school to aisa hi hai, college to aisa hi hai. They do it every time, There are some politicians behind it. Maybe some party you will start blaming. You start blaming your friends also. हो सकता है पेपर लीक हो गया हो, etc., 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 etc. The irritability, the loop becomes even more and more, and you start feeling worse and worse. Now, this feeling of worseness again causes stress. Now it is very important that you must come out of this loop. So the first thing in yoga is actually that we must realize and be aware that it is the loop which is causing all the problems, and it is a negative loop, and I must break this loop. And number two, you must be skilled enough to yourself regulate your entire body mechanism to come out of this negativity. If you are not skilled enough, if you are not have been taught to deal with your feelings, deal with your dry mouth, deal with your low mood, what you are going to do, you will go and pop up a pill, tricyclic antidepressants or serotonin inhibitors and synthetic material, or you'll, some people, start smoking, start drinking, start consuming dopamine. Now, dopamine is externally taken, and dopamine can be produced inside our body also. Whereas my recommendation would be to simply observe your breath. Just sit calm and relaxed. And remember, whenever you are low of energy because of overthinking, the best way is to start doing Anulom Vilom Pranayam. What happens through Anulom Vilom Pranayam is actually there is a greater secretion of nitric oxide inside your nostrils, your sinuses. Now, what is nitric oxide? It is a gas that vasodilates your blood vessels. So there is an increased secretion of blood. More and more energy reaches your brain, your vital organs, and you start feeling energized once again. This is the power of naturopathy. This is the power of nature. And nature only has given us the remedies, the solutions. Or the only thing is to be skillful to identify what to do in what condition. I appreciate acupuncture and acupressure also, especially those who are having cervical spondylosis or low back issues. They must do certain postures, and immediately by pressing some acupressure points, you will see that the back pain is gone as a first aid to begin with. Then making asanas a part of your life is actually going to make more good. As WHO has also said that for viruses, the best thing is please get vaccinated and try to prevent the onset of virus multiplication. Don't let them multiply and develop into the new forms, because cure is always not possible and viruses are going to stay. Similarly, treatment of various neurological disorders like multiple sclerosis, Cohen's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, even we don't have the treatment for flu. For your kind information, it takes its own time of 5 days, and then slowly and gradually it subsides. What doctors recommended ultimately was steam inhalation, use decoctions, drink a lot of fluids. So please remember, when you are suffering from disease, your body not only fights with the disease, but it also fights with the side effects of heavy antibiotics and medications which you take. So which is best? Prevention is always the best. So where does yoga fits in? This is the HP axis. Let me explain you how does stress becomes chronic. Whenever there is a stimulation because of stress, it can be physical, psychological, or environment stress. Environment in the sense the extreme high or low temperature. Right? Our brain has hypothalamus on the top, and this triggers the release of corticotropin releasing hormone, CRH, very important hormone, which activates the pituitary gland situated just below it, causing the release of an hormone called adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH. Master's degree students and research scholars must be aware of this, which is carried by the blood actually to the adrenal gland. As I said earlier, adrenal glands, there are two adrenal glands which are situated just above the kidney, right? And they release these stress hormones called cortisol, adrenaline, and noradrenaline. These three hormones, which are stress hormones, are released inside our blood. Now, the moment they are released inside our body, we feel good in a sense that when the situation becomes chronic over the period of time, our body learns to adapt to these stress hormones and we think that we are okay. But when the situation becomes chronic, for a long duration of time, the cortisol and adrenaline are continuously released inside our body because of the stress not being reduced, stress taking different forms. Our body becomes used to it. And when the manifestations of blood disorders, heart arrhythmia, coronary artery disease is detected, we call it because of chronic stress. This thing has actually been manifested. So you must bring in lifestyle changes to begin with. Although they help in the shorter duration of time to help you deal with the stressor, fight and flight response, that's perfectly all right. After you have out of the danger, after your HPA axis circuit is broken, you are again normal, perfectly all right. But if it is not broken, again I'm showing you that cycle, stressor coming, evaluation of the relevance, our central nervous system actually identifies it and signals the transmission. The sympathetic nervous system releases the adrenaline and norepinephrine, the stress hormones. Energy is now required to target the organ affected. So this is how our energy is depleted very fast when we are responding to a stressor and we feel out of energy. Our pupils dilate, heart rate increases. So we adopt fight or flight response. When this particular cycle is repeating and repeating again and again, it becomes chronic. So what are the long-term consequences? Lifestyle disorder, metabolic disorders like heart-related ailments, joint disorders, kidney failures, blah, blah, blah. Now, what yoga does, yoga and naturopathy does is, meditation especially, it activates this, our parasympathetic nervous system. And again, our system is reset to that calm state. Now, here is a very good exercise chart which I practice. We call it super brain yoga. There are 14 rounds of these postures. So in the nutshell, there are certain postures you can see which are inverted to begin with, like Shirsasana and Sarvangasana. Those who are not able to do Shirsasana, they can do Sarvangasana, because Shirsasana is not recommended for everybody until and unless you have reached a certain state of excellence in practicing postures. If you are suffering from, say, cervical spondylosis, don't even do Sarvangasana. There are various other postures which you can do in the forward bending position. You can see here, it is a combination of inverted postures, right? Where the blood flow is towards the brain. Please remember, all these postures, see carefully. And then Paschimottanasana is especially useful for maintaining the balance between Ida and Pingala Nadi, forward bending posture. The fifth one, right? And the counter posture to that is Bhujangasana. Always remember why I am considering this as a best yoga sequence, because there is an inverted posture, there is a counter posture, and then when you are lifting your upper body up, you are lifting your lower body up as well in the Shalabhasana and Dhanurasana. Now, Shalabhasana is a preparatory posture before you do Dhanurasana. Straight away, don't go for Dhanurasana. And then comes the twisting asana, right? It is very important to do twisting and bending, side bending. Both are different, right? You know biomechanically. So when you are doing Ardha Matsyendrasana, asana, Padahastasana, and then Trikonasana, followed by complete rest, Shavasana, I would say Sampurna Kaya This completes the entire physical effort. It takes only 10 rounds, 10 minutes of meditation in the end to complete the entire sequence. So this is just one example which I am giving you. I'll give you another example of doing some postures to activate your sympathetic nervous system in the beginning, so that whenever you are waking up, instead of straight away going into problem solving, slowly and gradually you get used to the system and then you go ahead. Here is another very good exercise which I generally practice in the evening. Face east in case of people who are above 60 years of age. Otherwise, you can face west direction, right? What you have to do is, in this posture, hold your right earlobe with the left hand and your left earlobe with your right hand, such that your right arm is actually overlapping your left arm. And remember, when you inhale, you have to sit, you have to make a full squat, right? Keeping body weight on both the feet. And when you exhale, you have to slowly come up. Remember, exhaling, sitting down, inhaling, coming up. So either you should practice 14 repetitions or 21 repetitions to begin with. You will find immense difference in your brain power. Now, third technique which I want to share with you is, if you have heard about Bhastrika Pranayama, right? One of the very good ways for lawyers, especially people from law college, are associated with this session. So I'm specially recommending Ajapa Japa Dharana. I can share a video of Ajapa Japa Dharana, because Ajapa Japa Dharana meditation, which comprises of around 25 minutes of meditation, has Ujjayi Pranayam and Khechari Mudra built in. And it is specially for those people who think a lot, who plan, who use their prefrontal and frontal cortex to a greater extent. Those who have already attained a certain command over their thoughts and speech. So it will bring you to the very next level, the wonderful level. So please note Ajapa Japa Dharana and remind me later on. I will share a video how you can practice that Ajapa Japa Dharana. So what actually yoga intervention does, I'm just concluding. It actually activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the reverse of sympathetic nervous system, thereby causing reduced stress perception. Remember, how we perceive stress is more important, because stress can be good or bad. It can be eustress, it can be de-stress. Eustress is, for example, bungee jumping or skydiving can be a eustress for you. Whereas for me, being a beginner, skydiving can be de-stressful, extremely stressful for me. So it reduces the activation of sympathoadrenal axis and HPA axis, right? So there will be lesser and lesser production of stress hormones like cortisols, epinephrine and norepinephrine. This in turn does what is, it reduces your oxidative stress, which is nothing but bringing balance between the antioxidants and the free radicals, leading to improved endothelial functions. Endothelial functions in the sense that whatever linings of your body are there, whatever fascia is there, is going to have the proper supply of blood circulation, becomes healthy. Enhanced metabolic, better insulin sensitivity, improved glucose tolerance, improved mood, anxiety, and there will be lesser and lesser proneness to depression. And of course, the blood pressure and heart rate will not be just reduced, but it will become balanced. So there are two things which happen when we do yoga. Through this diagram, I want to show you the two pathways. Number one is, when you do Surya Namaskar or power yoga, your vagus nerve gets stimulated. It is the 10th cranial nerve, which is associated with all the vital organs, starting from your brain to your gut, heart, lungs, pancreas. This particular cranial nerve, call it vagus nerve, touches, controls, balances all the vital organs. So the stimulation of this vagus nerve happens. What happens is then the heart rate variability increases, which is directly proportional to your baroreflex sensitivity. Inflammatory cytokines come down, and your heart rate and blood pressure also normalizes. Because of which there is a feeling of better and improved control on our body. So the perceived stress reduces. Because in your body at a time, either cortisol can stay or oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins can stay. So at a time, only one type of hormones can stay. Just like a metaphor, there are two horses always running inside our mind. One is a negative horse and the other one is a positive horse. It depends upon you. Which horse are you giving food to? If you are feeding more the negative horse, you will get stuck into negativity and you will ruin your own life. If you feed more the positive horse, you will find coming out of every testing, trying condition, happily, merrily. So it's not just the happiness, not just the joy, but a lifestyle change that you will require later on. So when the oxidative stress is low, whatever comorbidity you already have inside your body will also not affect you. I have seen people suffering from diabetes and multiple issues coming out of COVID, whereas healthy people, just because of increased oxidative stress without any comorbidity, I saw them expire. They died. And ultimately, there will be a reduced risk of blood clotting, corona, whatever cardiovascular diseases will be also released, will be lesser and lesser. So thanks to the technology, that because of functional MRI and PET scans, we are actually able to understand the effect of yogic meditation and yogic therapies. So we need not prove our point. Actually, these are the tools and technologies that help us understand and authenticate, validate, and make the meditation and yogic practices more and more reliable. You can see the diagram here. It is a brain image wherein you can see that in a controlled subject wherein the frontal region is dark, slowly and gradually the alpha beta brainwave pattern has taken more dominance because of the single regular practice of yoga session. So I'll talk more about brainwaves later on. Right now, I think that it is important that we take two question hour session. There are some basic tests. For example, a 20-second test. Start balancing in this posture for 20 seconds. And after that, you can close your eyes. If you are able to maintain that posture for another 20 seconds, that means you have a very good control over your HPA axis. That means you have a balanced state of mind and body. Various other tests are available. I won't go too much into the principles of naturopathy because of the shortage of time. However, it is extremely important that we, unless and until practice these techniques, we cannot teach it to others. So the history of naturopathy is actually not just diagnosis and treatment and prevention, but healing of an individual in complete whole form. Then that is why it is called holistic science. It is not just the responsibility of the government to provide opportunities for complementary and alternative medicines, but also it is the responsibility of the patients themselves to follow the Indian tradition and culture and adopt some healthy practices, at least from the point of nutrition, for example. Now, what are probiotics? Very simple thing I am telling you. These are the actually naturally created, live, fermented supplements, right? For example, in yogurt and soups, you will find probiotics. Now, what are prebiotics? These are the non-digestive fibers like banana, onions, garlic, apple skin. They go through the small intestine undigested and is fermented when reaches the large colon. Colon means gut, large intestine. This fermentation actually feeds the probiotic bacteria colonies, and what happens is that we are able to get rid of all the toxins from our gut. Remember, all the diseases start from your intestine. All kind of issues related to neurological issues or even dental problems also start from our gut. So when your stomach is clean, your mind will also be clean. Clean mind program, clean gut program. You must have seen people when they go for any camp, they are actually made to go through Shankha Prakshalam. So it is, let us take a metaphor. For example, to have a good harvest, what we do? We put seed. Now this seed is probiotic. And whenever we provide water and manure to this seed to grow into a full-fledged flowering or fruit tree, we provide water and manure, which is nothing but prebiotic. Here is a very good example of plaintive leaf bath. You must have seen mud bath, hip bath, water therapies, but leaf bath is a very, very effective technique, and the motivation has been taken from birds and animals. So they automatically detoxify themselves. Similarly, environment also has the tendency to detoxify itself. So when we use certain naturally occurring tools which are present inside our kitchen, right? Haldi, kachi haldi, uh, uh, cinnamon, various other condiments which are available inside our kitchen to nature cure, we actually do good to ourselves and to our family without any without any side effects. So here are some of the reference which I would like to share, and thank you very much. If you have any questions, you are most welcome.
Thank, thank you, sir. There are few questions from our participants for today's session that I would like to ask you. First
Yeah,
is, organic is our first choice for food, but why allopathy is our first choice for treatment? What's your take on this?
that is our perception again. See, please remember that allopathy treats, whereas naturopathy cures. So there is a difference. Whenever we consume a medication, as I said earlier, our body is not just fighting with the microbes, but also the side effects of that particular medicine. Do you remember whenever a doctor advises you take antibiotics, he is also giving you B complex and Limcy? Why is
Okay.
it that? Why is it that there is a vitamin D3 deficiency which is prevalent after the onset of corona? Just because the disease is not cured from the root, and many people have had the recurring flus. For example, the minor variant came in the form of Omicron. Again, doctors were advising don't take any medication, just keep yourself hydrated, consume certain decoctions, stay indoors, do gargling, at maximum take crocin in case you have fever above 100. So the point here is to let the body fight the pathogens on its own. So naturopathy and yoga actually improves our immunity, improves our sensitivity to certain factors or certain pathogens that attack from outside. Our body cells like T cells, killer cells, memory cells, identify them, remember them, and whenever that virus attacks again, they bind with that and then do their natural process and get rid of that pathogen forever from the body. This is how our system works. So please let the system work and let us support our own system. You must have heard about cholesterol is a myth. It is not the cholesterol which is a killer. It is actually the stress which is a killer that causes the cholesterol to go into our arteries and clog our arteries. So there will be many myths in the times to come which will be broken, and we can easily lead a good life by following a holistic lifestyle.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you,
you, Abhay
sir.
Jadavji. Allopathy treats, but naturopathy cures. Yes, you got the point.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, as there are benefits of practicing yoga asanas, does practicing mudras as beneficial as the yoga asanas?
Yes. For example, whenever you are in stress, just sit in Jnana Mudra. Now, there is a point which is pressed because of Jnana Mudra that has a link with our hypothalamus. So what happens, it is immediately relaxes our hippocampus. It affects our hippocampus and especially the amygdala. So even before going to sleep, if you want to improve upon the secretion of melatonin to have a good night's sleep, practice this mudra, chanting of Om for 5 to 10 minutes. After that, you can practice Anulom Vilom. Keep your body bent forward. We call it mudra in the sitting posture. We call it in Vajrasan also. You can sit for a short duration of time. Do light twisting and raise your legs as long as possible. Easily you can do it. Try to rest your legs against the wall. You will see the flow of blood going towards your brain. And sit in the left direction. Always remember, if you are going to sleep, after having meals, if there is not a gap of 3 hours between meals and sleep, you will find that your digestive system is going to cause trouble. So always sit on the left hand side, and you will find that you will go to sleep very quickly, and you can have REM sleep, delta sleep. And remember, 4 to 5 hours of sleep is even enough if it is deep enough.
Thank you, sir. It is rightly said that teachers open the door, but you must enter it yourself. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us. The session was enriched by us. Thank you so much, sir. Now,
Thank you.
I would like now I would like to introduce our chairperson for today's session is Dr. Archana Giri ma'am. She has done a specialization in anatomy, physiology, exercise physiology, sports medicine, yoga science, sports training, volleyball, and practical yoga. She has worked as a sports coordinator and has been an assistant professor for 12 years. She has also published over 7 books in this field. Without further ado, I request Dr. Archana Giri ma'am to give concluding remarks for today's session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to be a part of this August gathering. Firstly, I appreciate for the efforts taken by the principal, Dr. C.M. Rao sir, and coordinator of this national online fitness program, Dr. Sachin Deshmukh sir, and the entire team of MP Law College for organizing such fitness awareness program on the occasion of 75th Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. I congratulate and express my deepest gratitude towards Principal Dr. C.M. Rao sir, Vice Principal Shri Kishan More sir, IQAC Coordinator Dr. Aparna Kotapalle madam, then special thanks to Dr. Sachin Deshmukh sir and the technical team of MP Law College for organizing this online national fitness program and giving me this opportunity to express my views and closing remarks. Today, we have with us an eminent personality, Dr. Vikram Singh sir from Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, to share his knowledge and skills which sir has learned and practiced during his teaching and experienced while practicing and teaching of yoga naturopathy. Today, sir has enlightened us with the topic psychophysiological and metabolic changes with yoga and naturopathic practices. At the very first, sir discussed about the various pathies which like allopathy, homeopathy, Ayurveda, Unani, naturopathy, and yoga therapy. Objective of his topic were yoga asana, naturopathy, pre and probiotics, brain fasting, gut microbiome. Further, Sir briefed about biomedical science and he explained about mind and matter relationship and how breathing regulation is helpful during COVID pandemic situation. Sir explained about mental immunity and how negative thoughts leads to psychosomatic disorders and it disturb your homeostatic cycle. And by practicing asana and pranayama, we can regulate our homeostatic state. So we should have good harmony between body and mind. Further, Sir discussed about HP axis and how various glands and hormones act in stressful situations. By practicing yoga and naturopathy, it activates parasympathetic nervous system. And after, Sir briefed about super brain yoga, and in which Sir mentioned asanas, pranayama, and meditation. Then Sir given simple tips to keep your brain healthy and he talked about Ajap Japa Dharana meditation. Sir concluded with yoga intervention pathway 1 and 2 and various yoga practices for parasympathetic activation. He concluded with gut health, lift sunbath and many more. It is well said, sir. Yoga is not to preach, but it is to practice. I hope what we have learned from your discourse will help us to live our life healthy and sound. Thank you for your informative session, sir. And it was so precise and depth of yoga and naturopathy knowledge. So thank you, everyone. And I would like to close my remarks here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Once, Chief Conley said, social scientists have found that the fastest way to feel happiness is to practice gratitude. By quoting this, I would like to deliver my sincere vote of thanks on behalf of Manikchand Pahari Law College, Aurangabad, to the honorable guest speakers, Dr. Vikram Singh Sir and Dr. Archana Girima, because this program cannot be completed without your presence and inspiring words. I would also like to thank the Principal, Dr. C.M. Rao Sir, and Vice Principal, Dr. Sri Kishan More Sir, for organizing such a wonderful session. I would like to thank IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Appanna Kottapalli ma'am. I would like to thank the coordinator of the event, Dr. Sachin Deshmukh sir, who gave me an opportunity to host the program on this auspicious occasion, and it is a matter of honor for me. I would like to thank Shubham Jaiswal sir for his technical support. Also, I would like to thank all the teaching and non-teaching staffs. Last but not the least, I would also like to thank all participants for showing their keen interest in the program. I once again thank everyone for making this program successful. Tomorrow, we will be having the next session for the forum on the topic of guiding principles for designing yoga session by Dr. Jigmat Dachin sir from University of Ladakh. I would like to request all the participants to kindly join in the session at 4:30 p.m. sharp with the same link. On behalf of all the dignitaries, I would like to declare that the session is concluded. Thank you, one and all. I request everyone to turn on their cameras for a group picture. Thank you, everyone.